Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you this bright and sunny Dorset morning. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Ali Board, and I am broadcasting to you live via the platform Facebook, via the Learning to Paint with Alison C. Board Facebook page. And the thing that I do pretty much every Tuesday, can't guarantee that it's every Tuesday, but pretty much every Tuesday morning, is to bring you some sort of demonstration or inspiration or share what it is that I'm working on. It's very lovely to have you all in the room this morning. Now, you might be watching via catch up, so you might be watching via my blog, you might be watching via YouTube, you might just be going through old footage on the Facebook page. However it is you're watching this morning, thank you very much for joining me. And what we tend to do is it's really nice to know who is in the room. So what I do is I look through some of the comments to see where you are in the world, what it is that you're currently battling with, and to wish you a very good morning. Now, who do we have this morning? So, prize of the morning for the first comment, because we always have a very virtual prize going on, goes to the lovely Martina, who says, good morning, Martina. You are always very quick off the mark, I have to say. Who else have we got in the room? We've got Anne B, Joe, who is in capital letters saying good morning. I hope you're having a good day, Joe. Jane, good morning to you. Rosie in France, Julie in Australia, good morning. Pam, Joe, Jane, Barbara, and Lynn in the States. We have an international audience this morning. It's lovely to have you all here. Thank you very much. Who else we got? Linda P, Paula. Paula is saying that she got here at last. I'm assuming that she means in terms of technology and social media rather than anything else. Lovely to have you here, Paula. Who else we got? Ruth. Lots of people saying good morning to each other. I love it. It's such a little community. It's fabulous, isn't it? Simone, good morning to you too. If you are watching me this morning, please do write a little comment. Let me know where you're watching from. And if I see that comment in, I will take the trouble to say good morning to you. If I miss it, I apologise. I get stuck into my work and then, you all kind of grey out a little bit and I, channel what it is that I'm doing. Val, good morning to you too. Kathy. Everybody's in the room this morning. It's really good to have you here. So if you haven't tuned in for the rest of this project, you might be wondering why it says Artistic Intuition Part 6. Now, I don't really know why it got called Artistic Intuition. I think it was just because I started to say to you right at the beginning of this project that I didn't really have a very clear idea of where it was going or what I was doing with it. I sort of had a starting point, all of those kind of things, but I didn't really know where it was going. And as we kind of gallop towards the end of the project, I do have a bit of a clear idea now. And if you're looking at it thinking, part 6, where are parts 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5? They are on the blog. So if you go to www.learningtopaint.co.uk and you find Technique Tuesday in the menu, you'll be able to see all of the past posts. Now, whilst I've been rabbiting on about that, other people have popped up. Who else has popped up? Janice, good morning in lovely Wales. Very nice to have you here. Anne is asking how Troy is. Oh, and before I answer that, good morning, Helen, who's saying actually watching live, first time in Yonks. Yes, Helen, you've been a busy lady, haven't you? So very nice to have you here. Troy, just in case you don't know who Troy is, Troy is one of my beloved Jack Russells, and he is much better. Thank you very much for asking. Unfortunately now, whatever it was that Troy had, his brother's now got. So, that's why you have animals, isn't it? To just stress you out on a regular basis. Thea, good morning. Cheryl, oh gosh, you're all tuning in. I think you all find me. It gets to about 10:05, doesn't it? And you all go, ooh, you get a notification and you all pop up. I'm glad to have you all here. But, and thank you very much for asking about Troy. As most of you know, my pets mean an enormous amount to me. And when they're poorly, it's tough, isn't it? Teresa, good morning. Anywho, what was I talking about? I was talking about why are we on part 6? Why are we on Artistic Intuition? Shall we get to the overhead camera so that you can see where we've got to so far? Click the button, Ali, and there we go. So here we have this is where we've got to for part 6 of a concert of birds. Like I said, if you want to see the other parts, if you want to see how this got to the state that it is right now, pop back over to the blog and watch them all back. Good morning, Patricia. Last week, I made huge inroads and I put the majority of this bird in. I have to say, not going to lie to you, I haven't done anything to it between last week and this week. Not a single thing. So for those of you that think that I kind of edit it down and I do loads of prep work for this, I have to say I've been so ridiculously busy in the last week or so, I haven't had time to do anything to it. And actually, this week, there's only one bit that I want to work on, and that is the head of our bird. Now, we haven't really classified what this bird is. We haven't sort of said, is it a raven, is it a crow, is it a rook, all of those kind of things. Morning, Hilary P. I haven't classified it just simply because it doesn't need classification. It's not about what sort of bird it is. So it is more about how I got to this state, things to do with the text, the links to the band elbow, all of those kind of things. So it's not about what type of bird. However, the photograph that I used and am using as inspiration for this is this one, which I found on Unsplash from an Indian photographer, a very talented lady called Kasturi Roy. And what a beautiful photograph. This was taken in London. I don't know if it was taken at the Tower of London. I can't actually quite see in the background as to the location of it, but that is what I am using for my inspiration. Now, Teresa is saying that she's trying to find motivation to paint 2 commissions and not get distracted. Watching me to get some oomph. Right, well, Teresa, I hope that this is working for you, and good luck with those commissions. They're tough to do, aren't they? And Ruth is saying disco glass is sparkling nicely on the bird. Yes, thank you very much. We had to make some tough decisions about that, didn't we? So we've got a little line of mirror ball tiles here. We've got a little kind of slither of mirror ball in there, and we've got a little kind of glint of it going up there. Plus the text, all sorts of other things going on. But like I said, today I'm going to do some work on this part. So one of the things I'm going to do to start with, if you can bear with me just a second, is I'm going to do a little bit of zooming in for you so that you can see it. Look at that. Video skills alongside the painting skills. What's not to like about that? Because what I want to get to the nitty gritty of is, like I said, this area here, because I want to work on the eye. Wasn't very happy with the eye last week. And I need to do some shading, put some detail in. I quite like, now I look at it, I quite like the sort of scratchy quality of this, but the eye definitely needs some work. Now, who have I missed whilst I've been yakking away? The lovely Dee, one of our lovely administrators is in the room. Good morning, lovely. And Nula is in the room as well. And she's saying, joining live for the first time in a while. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much. It's lovely to have you here. So let's get in. I'm just going to move that down just a little bit so that I can see it better. It's all very well you guys seeing it, but I've got to paint it, haven't I? Now, I have that selection of materials that I had last week just to the right hand, just over here, just to the right hand side of me. And if you want to know what those materials are, pop over to the blog, because the links to all the materials are there. But I am throwing something else into the mix today, and the thing that I'm throwing into the mix today are good old Posca pens. What are these pens, I hear you ask? These are acrylic paint markers. Here is one of them. Posca is the name of them. They are made by the Uni company, the Uni Pen company, Mitsubishi Pen company. Whoop! It's alive. And the size that I am using today is the PC1M. So this is 0.7 and it has a tip that looks like this. So it's Goldilocks principle, isn't it? In that it's not too fine and it's not too broad. It's just right. Now I have 4 colours with me this morning to work on that eye. So I've got a black, a white, this one uninspiringly is just called grey, and this one I know because I've demonstrated with it a lot is called slate grey. So I'm hoping that those colours help you out immensely. They're not the most exciting of colours in terms of kind of doing something different with them. I didn't want to do something different. I've got blues and coppers and all sorts of other things, and I have a little bit of a plan for next week's Technique Tuesday as well. And if that plan comes off, then there's some very exciting things going to be going on. So I'm just sticking to the kind of the basics here. Now, before I start demonstrating, who's just said that? Ruth has said that the sound has gone. Can you just, if you can hear me, can you just put in the chat if the sound has, well, you won't hear me ask this, but if the sound is okay for you, can you just put it in the chat? Because it doesn't look like it's from my end. So I don't know why that is this morning. It's certainly registering my end. You may just want to refresh your page. Looks like some people can hear me. So if you're not able to hear me, then unfortunately that is to do with your internet connection or your device. I am sorry about that. Thank you very much for all of you who are saying that the sound is okay. Phew, not me. It's not me, it's you. Well-known line there. Right, anywho, back to the Posca pens. So I'm going to start with the black today. Now, these are a pump action pen. And what that means is you have to pump the nib up and down. You see, it gives you very good instructions on the side for what it is that has to happen. So I'm going to give it a really good shake. And then just off camera, I'm going to make sure that the nib is flowing nicely, which it is, and I'm going to give it just a bit of a swipe on the kitchen roll so that it doesn't flood at all. Now I need to get to work on this eye. Now what is wrong with this eye? The thing that is wrong with it is that it's too hooded. It's kind of, he's got a hood that isn't there. That shadow is too dark. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the corner of that out. Now, why do I like these pens so much? I like these pens because when they're wet, you can smudge them with a damp brush. Now, you can use any brush for this. I'm actually going to use one of my imitation sable brushes to do that. I'm going to knock the corner out of that. I'm going to knock the corner out of it this side too. That's better already. Kind of looking a little more lifelike. And I realised that actually this kind of pale line underneath is too wide. So I need to narrow that down a little bit too. So I'm going to do that from the inside by doing a bit of cropping in there. And then I can blend that out. So it's looking better already, isn't it? We can smudge some of that colour out and around. Let's get rid of the end of that. I'm not wild about the end of that. And then needs to be a bit narrower this side too. So let's do a bit of pruning. And actually, it's not quite the solid line that I've got going on around here. So I'm going to break it up a little bit. So using a bit of the pen and a bit of the damp brush to kind of break up that line. So we've got it that way. Now, another thing that I don't like about this at the moment, yes, it is, Lynn, a very tiny brush, a size 2. You don't see me use them very often, is that there's something wrong here in this area of the bird. So that needs to be rectified. And it's to do with the fact that they kind of, if Denise Allen was around, she'd be able to tell me what that bit of the bird is called, wouldn't she? But I need to get rid of an area here by kind of adding a little bit of the dark back in with the pen. I know it looks really scrappy, but by the time I've blended it out, it should look a bit better. So we're coming around. So we're really getting into the nitty gritty of this now. Now, what's going on? Oh, I've just spotted what's wrong with this. So that needs to come down there. That needs to kind of go up and over the top, and it needs to feather out a little bit. Now, the other thing that needs to happen is that back here, this is too pale as well. So we need to get some of that dark in around the back of the bird. and we need to smudge that out. It all looks a bit peculiar, doesn't it, when it's oh, it's a cur. Thank you, Barbara. I knew there would be someone in the room that knew what that bit of the bird was called. Every day's a school day at learning to paint, isn't it? Marvellous. Thank you very much, Barbara. So we'll get that smudged out and over the top. We'll get it all blended in. I know it looks weird because it's wet and the wet paint is kind of showing up much more dominantly over the dry paint, but we'll get that in. Now starting to look better. What else do we need to do? This needs some editing going on up here, but I can't do anything about that yet. What else do we need? We need a darker, more curved shadow underneath here. Looks like we've got the technology gremlins that are occurring because of Facebook today are being sorted out by some of your suggestions for refreshing the page. Obviously, if you're watching this back on the blog or if you're watching this via YouTube, tends not to happen on there because I record this. You see a different version of it when you watch it back that way. It's very sneaky of me, isn't it? Now, this needs to be darker under here, which is not a problem. I can get that in. I don't want to... One of the difficult things about this, of course, is that I don't want to overdo it. I've got this kind of lovely, impressionistic, misty kind of quality. So I don't want to be over painting it. Otherwise, it's going to look out of context. But I do need to put some element of detail back in. This is looking better now. Now, one of the other things that I had kind of missed out in terms of the darks, sliding around all over the place, was I missed a dark under here. So again, you can see now probably why I use these pens instead of just my tiny little brush, because I can be so much more accurate with them. So I'll get that in, kind of joins up. Just in case if you're wondering what it is that I'm referring to as I paint, I have got the photograph up on my screen, the same screen that I'm chatting to you guys in, so that I can see it quite clearly. Far too thick a line where the beak, lower beak meets the top one. So we need to get that in. That's better. That's better. Getting in. Thank you very much for all your lovely comments about being able to sort of see it in close up and how much different it looks and all of that kind of stuff. That's very kind of you. Let's get that, what did we call it? A cur at the top of the beak. Let's get that in. I've got some other things that I need to do to that. Starting to take shape now, isn't it? And I think I've kind of pushed it as much as I dare at the moment, so I need to give it a quick dry. Let's do that. And then you can see that that Posca pen, because it is an acrylic based marker, kind of blends in much better to the surroundings. Let's switch colour. So let's go for the slate grey. I'm just making sure off of camera that it's flowing okay. I'm just going to take some of the excess ink away from the nib so that it doesn't flood. That's better. There we go. Working perfectly now. Now I can start to work in over the top of the head. Morning, Wendy. Nice to see you. Let's get some of that kind of more in-between mid-tone going on up and over the top. Need to smooth this out a little bit. Needs to come right over to the right-hand side. Obviously, I've still got my in shot, Ali. Still got my highlights to go in over the top. That's okay, but definitely need to make some of this area a little bit brighter, a little bit paler. And then that cur that comes in here, I'm testing it with my finger because I don't want to be drawing back into something that's really warm. I can start to look at those little individual feathers that are protruding. Now I don't want the ends of them to look too dominant, so I'm going to use a little tiny bit of water to blend them into their surrounding area. That's better. And then we've got some fluffy bits on this side. We've got some furry bits, kind of furry bits. They're not fur, are they, Ali? They're feather, for goodness sake. It's too early in the morning. I know it's 10 o'clock in the UK, but that's quite early for me. Let's get a little bit of shading going on the edge of the beak. And get that blended in as well, so we haven't got quite the stark quality. That's better. And then we need to do a little bit of work in the eye as well. We haven't got the very brightest of highlights to put in yet, but we're going to dot a little bit of colour in and around. Where else? I think we need a little bit of feathering and highlighting dotted underneath that eye as well. And then if I go down here, one thing that I did want to hint at was some of those feather shapes. Again, I'm not going to over describe it because I'm going to let the textures do that. But it definitely wants just a sort of a bit of a nod to these feather shapes. Because when I zoom out at the end in a whole sort of ta-da kind of moment, I want this area of the painting to stand out over the rest of it. You'll see hopefully in a minute. So we're kind of done with the slate grey, and let's give it another dry. And then I've just realised that I haven't blended out these marks that I made down here. But do you know what? This is sort of a bit of a happy accident, isn't it? I quite like those marks. Kind of in keeping with some of the stuff that's going on down here. Right, let's go to the normal, just the ordinary grey. Again, making sure that it's working on my pad. Whoop, drop the lid. That's not a good start. Wiping off the nib. If you have Posca pens, this is a really handy hint for you to make sure that the nib is clean before you start drawing back in with it. And that way you don't get a big blob. Morning, Linda. Nice to have you here. Right, what are we doing with this pen, Ali? This pen is going to be used for a few extra highlights. Not the brightest highlight, obviously, because we'll reserve that for a bit of white in a minute. But we certainly can use it for accentuating some of those greys. So we'll get that in. It's got the most incredible texture up over the top of the eye. Now what you might see that I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of dotting. I like a good dot. Doesn't have to be a spatter, of course. It can just be a dot that you put in artificially. And the other thing that you'll notice that I do is that I knock it back with my finger. That is a technique that was born out of necessity, because I just think sometimes you just need to get your finger stuck in and involved. Right, let's put some of these highlights back in around the eye. Let's start to work on that little window highlight that is in the eye. That's better. That's so much better. Can you imagine? I've been looking at this for a week going, oh, it needs that, and I can't do anything about it because I reserve it for showing you guys first. How disappointing would it be if I brought it to the party with it all done? That wouldn't be fun at all, would it? Let's get that pale colour in there. What else we got? A few little dotty things going on down there. And then coming in over the top of those feather shapes again, knocking those back, giving them just a little bit of a nod to say, yes, people, there are feathers going on down here. So getting that in, probably a little, just a tiny hint of stuff over the back as well. Over the top of that texture, drawing over the top of that texture is quite interesting because my pen is hitting and missing. That's better. That's so much better. Right, let's get that white in. Linda P, it is a Linda morning this morning, isn't it? We've got lots of Lindas in the room. Very nice to have you all here. Thank you all so much for taking the time and the effort and the trouble out of your very busy days to watch my broadcast. Right, here is the white pen. Again, scribbling it, making sure that it works. cleaning off that nib. Now with the white, you kind of have to double check that it is actually coming out white. Sometimes if you don't get the consistency quite correct, it doesn't show up. So have I dried this? No, I haven't, have I? Oh, dear. There we go. That's better. Righty-ho, let's test out how white our pen is by starting with the highlight that's in the eye. Look at that. That's why you love a Posca pen, because it does the job for you. Now I need to put a few little other highlights around, just the odd one. It's very tempting at this point in the game to go completely crackers with the white, but you're only hinting at that white highlight. You're not going bonkers with it, yeah? It's just so that this part of the painting stands out over the other parts of the painting. That's all you're after. You'll see why when I do the big reveal in just a second. So I've just got a few little bits here and there, a few little bits over the back, just to pull out that highlight. Let's do this over the top. Let's get some of those feathers in. It's coming together now. I'm very excited because I can also see the rest of what's going on. And I also know what I have in store for you next week. I have a really exciting product to demonstrate for you next week that I know you're all going to hate me because you're all going to have to go shopping afterwards. But I've been itching to use this product. I bought it about 6 months ago and I haven't had the excuse to use it. And in my epiphany about how I was going to finish this bird off, I went, oh, brilliant, I can use it for that. Who is saying that? Lynn is saying that she likes the finger technique. Yeah, absolutely. It's just so much better than a brush. There we go. Okay, I am getting stupendously carried away. Right, are you ready for the big reveal, folks? Are you ready? Let me line it up. It's going to go out of shot temporarily, but you can see all of those textures as I do it. And then let's show you why I only wanted that little bit of texture, little bit of detail, because I only just wanted it to kind of emerge from the surface. Let's straighten it up as well. That would be good. So I just wanted this to kind of come forward. I didn't want to do a lot else to the tail, didn't want to do a lot else to the feet. I wanted it to kind of emerge from the canvas. Now there is a bit of a kind of no man's land going on in here. Sometimes it's good to look back at it, isn't it? So I think what I'll do for that is get a bit of that slate grey pen involved, just to break up some of that dark. I'm not so sure that you can see that on the camera, but it's certainly working for me here. I do like the fact that I had a drum roll as that happened, a virtual drum roll from some of you. You do make me chuckle. Let's get that in, getting just a little bit. There we go, that's better. Broken up that kind of bit of dark. So I'm pretty sure, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that next week is going to be the last week on this project. So we have a live Technique Tuesday next week, which is the 16th, I think. And then the week after, I'm going to take a bit of a break because Mum and I are going away for a little mini break to London. But what I'm hoping to do next week is to finish off some of the bits of the bird. I might add a bit more text. I might do something in between this week and next week if I get enough time, if being the operative word. But that is just as I wanted it, just starting to emerge off of the canvas, getting that kind of lovely texture involved. We've got the light source, we've got the bees coming out in the background. And if you want to see any of the rest of how I got to this part of the process, then pop over to the blog, back on the Learning to Paint website, not Facebook, on the website, www.learningtopaint.co.uk. Now, Patricia's just got a quick question for me. Can you tell me, why did you use the grey Posca pen on the eye highlight first and then cover that up with the white? So I haven't completely covered it up, Patricia. There is a little bit of grey poking through, and sometimes I do that to plot where it is I'm going to put something before I put that definitive highlight in. But thank you very much for your question. It's good to have questions as we do the live broadcast. And looks like some of you are really enjoying that part of it. So thank you very much. Slightly shorter broadcast from me today. I've got a rather hectic schedule ahead of me because tonight one of my popular monthly mixed media online courses is happening, and this evening we're going to be doing part of this. Unfortunately, the class is fully booked now, but we are looking at a fruity still life tonight. If you would like to join in for some more of those classes, let me show you how you can get involved in those. So you go over to the website. If you're wondering where Technique Tuesday is, there it is. It's under free resources. You can see Technique Tuesday there. But if you want, there's several places you can go to look for classes. But one of the easiest ways to do it is to go to, I'll start that again. You go to information, you go to shop where the classes are, and you can see you've got the day workshops delivered via Zoom. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We've got Secretary Bird on there. We've got a Carpet of Leaves that's being launched very soon. I've got my in-person workshops, which are held down here in Dorset. We've got all sorts of exciting things. Got a barn owl this Saturday, very excited about that. And then of course you have the all aboard membership as well, where there's no limit on the numbers for those classes because you have more than one tutorial to choose from. Next week we've got the colourful flowers in Brusho, but we've got dramatic skies, we've got moon on black paper, boat on the water, lantern and creeper, lots of things. And those classes get recorded too, so even if you can't attend in person, you can watch them via catch up, and there's the evening classes that I do. So I hope that oh no, that's not wrong one, clicked the wrong one. I hope that makes sense in terms of where you can find things and where you can find a little bit of inspiration. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. It's been lovely to see you live. And if you're watching via catch up, don't forget to leave me a little message or a comment. It's always very much appreciated. But until I see you for our broadcast next Tuesday, same time, same place, you take care of yourselves, everybody, won't you? Lovely to see you all. Take care. Bye bye.